Joining us in the studio right now is our next guest, Adam Borowski. He's an international relations analyst and a contributor to the Kiev Post. All right, well, I'll just start off. Have the Russians elected their new Tsar?
Well, first of all, great to be here. Yes, of course. No surprises there. The new Tsar, of course, the old Tsar, same old.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there are no surprises. And now Vladimir Putin is going to show his true face because he is no longer restrained by anything. And unfortunately, that means...
Is that the main fear right now in Ukraine?
I would say so, yes. That now he has no more, he doesn't have to pretend anymore. And we're going to see what he's really capable of. Because right now there are no restraints. But there never were any restraints, but of course, officially now, right?
And this will legitimize whatever he does. He'll say that the Russian people are behind him.
Yes, of course, he's going to say that, whatever I do, I have my support behind me. So that's just, you can't question what I do because this is supported by basically maybe not every Russian, but the majority, most definitely.
So you mentioned that, we do see that Vladimir Putin now will not be afraid to put all guns on the table. And stay here for a moment now. So what do you think are the immediate implications for Russia's domestic and foreign policy agendas? Something might change? Do you think that it will stay all the same or will be even intensified?
I think it will be intensified. We're probably going to see more nuclear saber rattling. It's already he talked about World War III more and more, of course. So now he's going to be less restrained about this. There might be another mobilization. Some are saying that's possible because, now there is no more need to pretend, like I said. So we're going to have to watch that one. And there is likely going to be, unfortunately, intensification of strikes on Ukraine, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I wonder if you know anything about what's happening in Odessa. Why is Odessa being targeted so much recently?
I believe this is a twisted mindset of trying to punish basically Ukraine for their of course they're blamed for strikes in Belgorod and other locations near the border, obviously, and this is the way of twisted punishment. Based on what that's the mindset of Putin and his cronies basically, and of course it's a symbolic city, and given what we had not long ago when President Zelensky was there with Greek Prime Minister, right, and the targeting, of course, was pretty obvious. Of course, they said that they were in the target. Well, we probably can tell that they were.
Yeah, UK Prime Minister canceling his trip to Odessa.
Yeah.
Right, so we do see that now there has been definitely some intensifying action also within Ukraine, especially in that heated moment. Now, my question is, as we do see that there has been now the next terms of Putin's office now has been a focus of surprisingly little discussion, especially now including how likely is it and what does it mean for people, especially inside Russia. Do you think that now the destabilization and also now the miscommunication between the government and the people will be even intensified as it is, or how do you project it?
Well, I think this is a likely strategy. We're going to see some kind of Gulag 2.0. It's likely what's going to happen. Communication, of course, between the government and the population is going to be just on paper, in theory. There never was any communication in Russia. Well, maybe for a short period of time in the 90s. Other than that, I don't think we can expect any communication. It's just, just for show, basically.
But do you think that some Chechen communities or Tatars really, now, as we know that the Russian Federation is really a mixture of numerous entities, but do you think that there is a way to perhaps pull Tatars and Chechen away from now the so-called Russian heart and perhaps make them more aware of their own identity and perhaps thus now make some kind of a rebellion from inside out?
Well, when it comes to rebellions, I'm skeptical because, there were regions, of course, that did rebel, but these were just symbolic rebellions. I don't think we're going to see any major rebellions, unfortunately. given, the situation now. Putin has consolidated his power, and it's unlikely that any kind of rebellions, unless, of course, we're talking about the Freedom of Russia Legion, right, and other groups like that.
That's right, but their numbers are very limited.
Yes, there are some skirmishes, yes, some success, but this is definitely not enough to threaten the regime, despite, the rhetoric that we're going, to march in Moscow and so on. We had Prigozhin, and of course he turned back inexplicably. We don't know why, right? So I don't think that we can really expect that such groups, as, we wish them well, but it's highly unlikely that they're going to.
Unfortunately, a lot of people were discussing that they're expecting maybe some flare-ups, but
maybe some
not
flare-ups,
much in that
but
regard.
that's it, yeah.
And I wonder if here we're looking at some pictures of noon, the noon protest yesterday during the. I wonder, obviously, outside of Russia there was a much higher turnout, but inside, do you believe that? The lack of people showing up, do you think it's because people feared that they would be, perhaps they have some facial recognition technology, the FSB would be watching them, and as you mentioned, perhaps they might be part of some coming gulag for people who oppose the Tsar?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture, right? It's some people are just apathetic. They no longer believe anything can change. Some people are afraid. Some people really believe in what Putin is saying. There is a mixture of factors here, not a single one. But unfortunately, given that Russian society is used to this kind of treatment, unfortunately, overwhelmingly, I think that mostly it was apathy, right? And we can't really change anything. It's just politics. That's what you always hear, right, from people. That's well, right. It's just politics. We can't change it. People are dying in Ukraine. Yeah, well, it's just politics. We can't change that. It's kind of like a cop-out, maybe kind of, trying to distance yourself from that. It's interesting from a psychological point of view, definitely.
It is, but yeah, in a way you have to understand them,
That's right. And now, following your thought, we have heard and we've seen now the high noon initiative now of opposition of Vladimir Putin to go there at high noon and show that and show basically how many people do oppose Putin. But there have been some incidents. But my question is, do you think that these incidents might impact in any possible way now the outcome of these elections, or might they perhaps now influence future voters?
I think the bigger outcome would be the reaction of countries around the world, how they react, whether they say, well, yes, we agree these were legitimate elections or not, right? I think that's the main issue. Unfortunately, as small groups like that, even, Yulia Navalnaya and so on, of course, these are powerful voices, but overall, Vladimir Putin said that, nothing is going to change. This is no effect. And unfortunately, he's right, because in the grand scheme of things, this has little to no effect. Because in the majority, they are in a stupor, I guess. That's the best way to put it. And they have this alternate reality, which they think is real. And it's like a cult. I call it a Z or Z cult, basically. That's what this is. And you need the programmers to really change it. I don't think there is any other way to do it.
Incredible. And a lot of people saying that now that Navalny is gone, there's really no one left, at least no one that anyone can see. Do you agree with that?
Well, of course, there are people who try to oppose the regime, but their power overall is very, very limited. So, yes, there are individuals that, that definitely understand what's going on, but in terms of affecting change, no. Unfortunately, I don't think that right now there is any kind of voice that can really change it. But things sometimes happen. We never know. It might be, Russia, there are black swan events in the world, unexpected events, so it's possible. Something might happen that's going to change. But for now, unfortunately, we are stuck with the status quo, it seems.
I mean, we do see, and what we just see on our screens is definitely that we need a miracle, really, to change that situation. But let's stay hopeful that this miracle might actually happen. Thank you so much, Adam Borowski, for joining us today and shedding light onto the situation.
Pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.